All right.
Oh no, it's really happening.
Yes, we are live. And it is 9-ish.
9-ish.
Yes. What's up, brother?
What's up, brother?
Well, the delay of game.
Special teams, special players.
Delay of game was due to, we just added the Coach Wayne Salmon channel.
Boom.
Yes.
There we go.
So we had a little bit of admin duties to
Yes.
clarify, classify.
There we go.
And
Yeah.
clear up.
Because that's where we really soar.
Yeah.
Is in the admin department.
Bruh.
Details.
Yeah.
Is, yeah.
Oh my God. Yeah. I'm just doing some spreadsheets over here. Bruh. So what is up? How's it going?
It's good. How are you?
It has been a crazy week.
Yeah,
There's a
it
lot
has.
going on. Did a couple of big events, big parties. Did a couple other. Dude, I met this another potential. This guy's awesome. Auctioneer, like genuine, legit Marine/cowboy auctioneer. So
That's my. Those,
Yes.
I wonder if I can put that into my Facebook ads. I want Marines/auctioneers. That's my target.
And I will
audience.
go you one better. So yesterday, when I actually met him, and he's doing a class at Metrotex on how to survive a real property auction. Killer, like just a great vibe. Killer,
Don't raise your hand.
Killer look, cowboy hat, the whole 9 yards. I'm like, dude, let's shoot a quick promo. He goes, oh, hold on, I'll be right back. And it's like, you might be asking yourself, did he have a giant gavel in his car, in his truck, to use as a visual
He has like
aid?
a rolling stand. He
Oh,
just brings
dude.
in a podium and a gavel, and he's just
Dude, no, like not a gavel.
Rick for 200.
Yeah, not a gavel like you might actually use in the field, but a gavel that was like bigger than me. And I'm just like, bro, that is legit. And he goes, yeah, I gotta have a prop.
Like the
And I'm
Texas Hammer.
it literally was the Texas Hammer. So, y'all will be
There you
seeing
go.
that very soon in
Yeah.
very short order. But it's been like a week like that. Oh, and then we shot the Real Producers promo yesterday at Globe Life, which I'd never been. And so, yeah, so if y'all are out there, and you're all on the list and see the RSVP gimmick or whatever, you might want to open that green envelope.
Sounds amazing.
Dude, okay, so I've been to one baseball game in my adult life.
Yes.
And that was at the second. I'd never been to the original
Yeah, yeah.
Rangers, Arlington Stadium, whatever it was called. But then the one after that, the only game that I ever went to, not a baseball fan, but it was the first game after 9/11.
Oh, wow.
Whenever it was like, don't go.
That's intense.
It's
Yeah,
open for
yeah,
attack. I'm
yeah.
like, well, that's the one that I'm going to go to.
Yeah, yeah.
And it was unbelievable. Like the whole vibe. It's like everybody's
Yeah.
crying. It was just like this thing.
Wow.
And I'm like, you know what? That's pretty good memory button
God,
right there.
how am I going to top that?
Exactly. 'Cause
And then Real Producers comes along.
yeah, and then
Jordan's like, I'll see your 9/11 game and raise you a Real Producer party.
and we're gonna shoot the promo.
Yeah,
bro.
yeah,
How about that?
yeah.
And so we did that, and so I say all that to say, I had never been. Okay, Lexus Club, obviously cool vibe or whatever, but I'd never been behind home plate.
Yeah.
So we're literally in the gimmick, the seats, the suites, all of that right behind it. I'm like, oh. And then you have
cool.
you have this different idea of the scope of the game.
Yeah.
If I'm standing there and there's 60,000 people or
yes,
whatever.
absolutely.
Like, oh,
Yeah.
that's a totally different. And they're throwing shit at me at 100 miles an hour. Yeah, cool, got it. But that was yesterday morning, and then
Yeah.
and then we had the Texas Hammer in the afternoon.
There you go. I love
so
it.
it has been. That was just Thursday.
Yeah.
So
It's amazing.
what? So are you flying in from anywhere? Are you like flying out to somewhere?
We're good. We are next week. We're flying out to Alaska.
Okay.
We're going to spend a week in Alaska, which will be amazing. And I'm actually speaking at the Alaska Real Estate Conference, so that'll be really
okay.
cool.
And then will you be hanging out with Homegirl from?
I will. Yeah,
Alaska Real
Devin's
Producers?
gonna,
Yes.
she's actually going to be part of the thing that I do up there in at the Talkeetna Lodge in Alaska, which
Wait,
is
say
one of
that
the
again?
the Talkeetna Lodge in Alaska, which is one of the most beautiful places ever. So that's going to be incredible. So I'm up there for like 10 days. And then we jet from, then I go from Alaska to New York via Dallas, which is, so it'd be like, oh, almost home, but not really.
You can like wave?
Yeah, there I'll wave up to New York. And then we're going to do Broker Boardroom, which is going to be insane. We got Dr. Chuck Morris coming. Michelle's going to be there. All this incredible stuff's going down. That's going to be an incredible day. And then the next day, so then we party the night before. Then we do Broker Boardroom and have some fun that night. Then we do 30 Under 30 the next day.
NAR 30 under 30?
Yes.
Or?
So we self-organize our own, all the alumni, we self-organize a get-together once a year. So we're going to do our 30 under 30 for and we self-organize. So we're like, we don't want money. We don't want sponsorships. Don't tell us what to do. So we're going to have our own 30 under 30 thing. And then after that, I'm either going to go to a music festival in Baltimore or I'm going to come home and sleep. So we'll see what happens. It'll be good.
Baltimore doesn't really come top of mind for like hotbed of music.
No, but it could happen.
Who would be at this? Do you happen to know?
Blink-182 and all my other, as my oldest son calls it, all my other sad divorced dad bands, which is basically punk, emo, rock, whatever you want to call it.
So 90s, so like 90s pop punk. So.
Absolutely, yes.
Okay.
Which my 18-year-old son is 100% into, which makes my heart so freaking happy.
Right on.
Yeah, so he's actually flying down here next month, and we're going to go to like 3 concerts in 4 days. And it's good. Anyway, so we're going to have fun. So that'll be cool too. So we got a lot coming up.
So one of these times we're going to have to whip out the playlist so we can see like because
we really need to get my buddy Jonathan Cook on here, who is the lead singer for Forever the Sickest Kids, who is one of my favorites of all time.
Oh, right on.
And
love it.
The man runs Texas.
Well, and then you already know that in the race to who has the most wild ass playlist, Lance wins hands down.
I agree.
He texted me this morning, dude, check it out, about to shower, and it's Martin.
By the way, Lance. Dear sweet baby mother, please never send me that text.
No. This was to set up the soundtrack.
Yes,
and it was Marty Robbins' Gunfighter Ballads.
Oh,
and I'm
my
like,
gosh.
dude, did not see that coming.
Didn't see it coming.
Yeah, didn't see that
you
coming.
Never know.
And then it's like that's 180 proof Lance.
Yes,
right there.
that's
Yes. Well,
absolutely.
like when we were hanging out, it was like, what is this? You think it's a gimmick? Like what?
Yeah.
And he's like,
Yeah.
no. And he starts the Mexican balladeer. And I was like, wow, okay.
Here's the great thing about Lance, and he is such a picture of what Real Producers is all about, right? Like Lance is the guy. First off, you could call him at 3 a.m. and be like, I need bail money. He'd be like, cool, I'll rob a liquor store and be there. Like he would be there for you no matter what. Also, Lance is the guy that you're like, hey, dude, I need someone that specializes in Messianic tile from like the 13th century with like a side of a British accent. He's like, got a guy. His name's Eduardo. He'll be there in 20. Like he knows everyone, and like there's not a connection that he cannot make for you, and he's thrilled to do it.
And what I'm loving is like I'm kind of like the Junior Woodchuck of networking and knowing. A big part of that is just like I just never moved. I never left, and I just kept going.
Right.
You know.
Like who's still here?
Yeah, that's my strategy. But like so I show up with him, and it's like, oh, okay, y'all know each other.
Go.
Yeah, there we go. Love it. And so that's how we end up at the Lexus Club at the Gimmick there at the stadium, and then taking him. And the beauty of like if I bring him with, so we went to that leather like invite only Gimmick or whatever, and bringing him with, I can recede into the background.
Yeah, it's nice to have a wingman.
You just wind him up.
Yep,
and
exactly.
he just gets into like mode.
By the way, how's studio west, east, south, north?
Technically,
west?
This is east.
I get confused.
Yes.
I grew up in Canada. We didn't do any of that northwest east stuff.
It was all north.
It was all north. It was like, well, you go colder, and then you take a right, and you get no. So how's that studio going? It looks amazing.
Oh, dude. Well, and the beauty there is the crossover with Real Producers, and Julie's killing it with the shows. We're doing the Real Producers, like the free commercials for anybody that actually makes the cut. You can come in.
If someone doesn't take you up on that, by the way, like insane.
Dude.
Like, that commercial would cost somebody, what, $2-3 grand to go shoot in the road. They get to walk in, you get to walk them through it. Like, go do that.
And what's funny is we throw the offer out there, and so many people that waffle. Or, so like another big broker client of mine behind the curtain, I was like, hey, here's the list of Ebby of agents that, and then they're like, well, yeah, we can send it, or you can send it, or whatever. Don't know if, and it's like, wow, who doesn't want to do like a free video that basically allows you to brag?
Yeah.
That's the thing.
But people don't know how to do it.
There is that. And so we're working, like, so we got Julie in our back pocket to actually do the on-camera confidence. And so that'll be a thing that'll be ramping up. So she actually comes in on off days here and shoots the content that'll, behind the paywall or whatever. But the cool thing is, man, she's like a one-take Jake. Yeah. Where she's ripping through these like 3-minute deals. And now it sounds like she's just sitting at home all day long practicing these things, which may very well
I
be.
mean, the reality is she's a 20-year overnight success, right? She has actually been doing that for a long time.
Yes.
And here's what people don't get about what you guys bring to the table. It's not just the video. Like you and the whole team are actually coaching them on how to do this, what to say, how to show up, how to look, how to talk, whatever it is. And I think that's what, like, there's people that run around with a camera, and then there's people like you that have the camera and have the wisdom to here's how to show up and how to do this. Because people are like, if you're not telling your story, if you're not on video, you're missing out. You are a media company, right? No matter what.
Yes.
And you better just embrace the thing. But I think the cool thing why they need to get in the studio with you is because you actually teach them how to do it, right? How to craft the story, how to say the thing, how to get confident, how to look the part, like, and that's a huge piece of it.
Yeah, and what's crazy is so many people come in and it's this formula almost never fails. It's like the more freaked out they are, the better they are once they realize, oh my God, I can do this.
I can do this. Yes. Yep. So
And
if you're
there's
afraid of
like
it, that's exactly why you should do
Yeah.
it.
And there's this massive exhale, and to realize that everybody else is afraid too.
Yeah.
You know, other than like, this is like me. I'm like, I don't know, let's just do it.
Let's just do it.
You know? And then thank God you were already polished and like a finished product.
I don't know if anyone's ever called me polished before, so I greatly appreciate that. Thank you. Thank
yes.
you. Yes.
Absolutely.
I have my stuff together.
Yeah, I'm here for you, bro.
Yeah. On the front page.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
Landing page is solid.
Yeah, absolutely.
Just when you get back into the back end, don't look there.
Yeah.
So speaking of
Yes.
getting polished
Yes.
and packaged, now that we are absolutely broadcasting to the Hero Nation.
Absolutely. So here, let me give a little real estate update while you're doing that.
Yeah.
So a little real estate update. First off, it is so how unironic is it that the guy that brought the lawsuit actually against all the realtors actually started a company to offer discount services, right? For people buying something hilarious. Anyway, apart from that, here's the big thing: the conversation I'm having the most with agents that are leading teams right now. You're underestimating how skilled you are on the seller side. So how good you got at handling objections and all these things on the seller side, and your buyer agents, or people that primarily where the buyers are running around and they're getting these objections like, I don't want to pay your commission, or like they get it agreed to in the front end, and then the seller comes back and says, well, we're only going to give 1% concession or whatever it is. Your agents are wildly unprepared to handle those objections. And the reality is people are like, they're freaking out. We're going to have to, we're not going to make as much money. All it says, no, like you just got to learn how to handle those objections on the buyer side like you did on the seller side. And I'll tell you what, if every team is not role playing and practicing 20, 30 minutes every single day, you're going to get your teeth kicked in. Right? So like that's the
I
basic
love that you
advice
brought
right
up
now.
role playing. So like
Yes.
I still have these flashbacks to Guitar Center in the early 90s.
Yes.
It was the Sharks tank where we did role play. It was straight commission.
Yeah.
Nothing had a price tag. So if
Right.
you came in, you were like, how much is that Black Stratocaster? What are you playing now?
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
So
Yeah.
it was
man,
absolutely
that's a
like-
nice belt. You must be rolling, man.
Yeah.
The band must be doing really good. What are you looking to upgrade to?
Dude,
Right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
And like shout out to Chad and all the guys from GC in the early 90s. But that whole thing, the role play.
Yes.
Saturday morning, full, all hands on deck, full
Yeah.
crew meeting, and
Yeah.
you get up and you do the and it was
Yes.
like, dude, I'm like 22 years old.
Yes.
I don't know my ass from third base, and I'm just thrown in there, and that's where I learned to sell.
So good.
And-
And what most people do is like they're like, hey, here's the script, and they like throw it at their team, but they're not forcing them to practice the thing. And then they're like they're doing terrible because they haven't practiced. And I mean, I had one of my clients yesterday goes, well, this is it's really hard, right? Yada yada yada. Right? And I'm like, no, it's not. Like, you want to become a doctor? What do? You sit in a room for hours studying flashcards with terms. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Like, go friggin' practice. Like, cut off your Hulu and your Netflix account for like 60 days, and every day practice role play. Do your whatever objection you're gonna get, have 6 responses. Do it. Like, you just gotta freaking step up right now. And there are so many agents go, oh, this is hard. I'm getting beat up. It's like, no, you just suck at your job.
Yes.
And you got to go get better right freaking
Well,
now.
and there was one of the hustle porn guys that I, and in reality he's not, but is the Alex Hormozy thing where he talks about like, did you think it was going to be easy?
Yeah.
Like if you really wanted to like be
Right,
better,
yeah.
be ahead of everybody else or be better than everybody else or whatever, did you think it was going to be easy?
Yeah.
And then everybody goes like, well, no. And then like, okay, well, did you know what hard looks like? Oh, well, no, not really. Okay, well, this is what hard looks like.
Yeah. Yeah.
And the beauty of that is, if you can kind of wrap your head around that and kind of get into that mindset.
Yeah.
you will crush.
Absolutely.
You know, because it's like I sit there and I daydream. Yeah. It's like, oh my God, if I was 25 now.
Yeah.
Now the chances are I might also be like just drinking soy milk and living on the internet and not being worth a shit. But you know, it's a crapshoot. Yeah, but like of course we always put ourselves in the hero role, hero nation. Where no, if I was young now, maybe not. But knowing now what we know, and you know, so one of the things I love about partnering with Lance is like, you know, we're the same age.
Yeah.
And so we have all the stories and like, bro, this like, and he's like the same as me, like go. And we just got through this couple of days with these dudes that were like, they made me feel like, boy, I think I need an extra coffee or maybe like maybe a Monster. And then Ashley came in, she goes like, dude, how is this guy like, and I'm like, I don't know, dude.
There you go. Yeah.
You know, well, like one of those things, but
there we go.
Of Hero Nation.
Let's hit it.
And you kind of touched this already. Like you set this up and you didn't even know. Or did you? No, you didn't because you didn't know that I got these. How do you help clients pivot when their original strategy no longer fits the current market conditions?
Man, I love that. I think there's this whole, there's so much done back there. But I think the first thing is there's this whole hustle porn thing of never give up, right? Just keep going, Well, there's a time when things need to end. And there's a time when you go like, hey, I was doing this. It's not working anymore. Or it's not giving me the results I want. And I need to pivot. So I think first off, it's like, what are your KPIs? Like, how are you measuring things to assess whether it's working or not, right? One of my clients this week, we were going through one of his internet lead strategies, and he's getting basically maybe a 2-to-1 return, right? Maybe, right? For every $5,000 he spends, maybe he's making $8,000 to $10,000, right? On this one strategy, which is a return. But here's the thing: if money was unlimited, any return would be okay. But if money is somewhat limited in his experience right now, that we need to go do the thing that's getting him an 8-to-1 return, or a 10-to-1 return, right? If I only have $5,000 to spend, if I have an unlimited amount of money, then any return's cool. But if I have $5,000 to spend a month, I need to go do the thing that's getting me a 3, 4, 5 return. So I think we got to go back and we got to look at those. And I had him go through every single thing and what's the ROI, what's the return each one. And some of the ones that like, hey, maybe this did work 2 years ago and we need to set aside for now, right? And maybe like we need to put more in over here. So, but I think oftentimes it takes a third person to help walk you through that because and sometimes we have this sum cost, fallacy where it's like, I'm already invested, so I need to keep going. All of that.
I was just going to ask that.
Yeah.
So how do you get them even to be aware of sunk cost?
Man, I think we look at the numbers. I think oftentimes it's a number conversation. And then we look at like, where's this going to get us in a year, right? So if we keep doing this for 12 months, what does that, have we given enough time? Like a week is probably not enough time to test something, right? But 2 years is probably too much time, right? So it's somewhere in the middle. So a lot of times with my clients, especially if we have a bucket of money, we'll do an R&D fund. So, hey, you got $1,000 a month. You can, this is your R&D money, right? So I can put it at this and we're going to try it for 3 months. And if it works really well, then that becomes a line item in the budget and we're going to keep doing that. If it doesn't work well, we recoup that $1,000 R&D money and we go do something else with it. So it's kind of like I have a bucket of R&D that we can kind of test things in a sense with that cash.
And now this is something that I find interesting where it's like everything old is new again.
Yeah.
The thing I got like a lot of play out of the last month and a half because there are a couple of clients where I do everything behind the curtain for them and nobody really knows that. But we did postcards.
Yes.
And I had to talk them into it just needs to be you.
Right.
They wanted to do postcards, and my knee jerk was like, really? That's what we're going to do? But because I actually am kind of a numbers nerd behind the curtain, I already had all these massive databases for mailers and stuff, especially in their little niche neighborhood. So we sent out 5. Yeah. 500 rather, every week and a half.
Yeah.
Every, just under 2 weeks.
Right.
So it was like boom, boom, boom.
Yeah.
And they're out doing their nightly walk in their steps in or whatever, and people are driving by, got your postcard, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, and they're like, how do you get, like, to me, that's a KPI of like, it's working because they now know you exist and they have an idea of what you do because it literally is photos of them in front of a $5 million listing with the sign.
Yeah.
Doing that. Right. And then on the backside is just another photo of them with just gigantic phone number and text, like super, super basic.
Yeah.
But the thing was, the idea is I just want them to know your face.
Yes.
And know your job.
So my philosophy has always been you need to put your name up in lights and you need to shake hands. So you got to do what you're saying is like you got to do both those. Put your name up, put the postcard out there, and then go for the walk or go to the community event or whatever it is, right? So it's both, right? It's like, cool, do the billboard, but also call your database, right? Do the postcards, but also host a small event or the wine tasting, whatever it is.
Yes.
So it's both. And as a market pivot, two, 3 years ago, just a billboard or just a postcard actually worked pretty well because we're in a very transactional market, right?
Yeah.
We were in a transactional market for like 2.5 years where it was just like, hey, will you help me? Right? And any agent that answered the phone was good enough, right? It was just like, it was transactional.
I would say it might have even been longer than that.
Yeah. It actually probably could have been. And now we have shifted hard into a relational market. So the people, and I've got a couple clients like this, and they are in a transactional business where they're spending a gob of money on internet leads and all the other kind of stuff.
One and done.
Which isn't terrible, but it's not getting them any of the results comparatively to what it was getting them 2 or 3 years ago. So now they got to go back and shake some hands. And I think as the market shifts, it's different. But man, shaking hands right now is the key. Like you got to get out there and you got to talk to us. And I'll tell you what, the next, I said this the other day, I see the future, right? Like one of my abilities is to be able to see, around the corner. And next year is going to be an amazing harvest for agents, right? Yet here's the thing. Any agent is going to have a good year next year, I think, right? If they survive the next, 4 or 5 months. Yet the agents that plant the seeds right now are going to have a phenomenal year.
What is it that like right now you're basically filling the basket with what you planted 6 to 12 months ago?
Yep.
So now my question, this is the stuff I love because, knock wood, baby Jesus, whatever.
6 pounds, 8 ounce.
Yes,
exactly.
exactly.
My favorite version.
Yeah. I was lucky because I could not chalk it up to always so foresighted that it was always just the hangout, the relationship thing, and in the middle of a transactional economy, that sucks, man. Because like you're just kind of doing the
and people don't give a rip. They're working with their Jason who got his license 8 seconds ago, and you're like, I've been here for 3 years, bro. Like, all that.
And it's like, they'll throw up iPhone photos and get 6%, and it was just like
it's like the mirror pictures on Facebook.
Yeah, exactly. And my mindset, even though it wasn't necessarily even top of mind or consciously done, it was like there's something about that just doesn't seem not that it wasn't authentic, but it just doesn't seem.
It was a little icky.
Yeah. There was something about it where I'm like, that's not. This isn't me.
Right.
Can't say why. Can't say how. But now it's like all of these things are coming because a lot of what I've done, and I'm sure that you get clients where it's like, I don't know, I just do.
Yeah.
And then a lot of it was I would do things and we would build in a certain direction, but like my guys would be like, well, what about that thing? I'm like, oh, I don't know. We set that in, like we wound it up, set it in motion, and that was cool. And then if it ever circles back, like sometimes you go like, oh wow, look what just came back around this over here. But the idea of doing that with no expectation, for a long time. I just posted a Facebook memory from, it was either like 9 or 10 years ago. It was a MetroTex event that I was the co-host of in Grapevine Convention Center. And I'm like, wow, that has, there's the part of it's like, that was 10 years. And then you're like, wow, that's a long ass time ago to be doing just the planting, because like none of this existed, of course. This was, I think I was still a lender. I was still just a mortgage guy.
Like you said, you were at the event the other day and you're like, I actually took all these photos. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's kind of that built relationship.
Cruz took them.
Cruz took them. Yes.
Proper.
It's just, and I think that, for right now, first off, it's all about the relationship. Like, take care of people the best you freaking can and get more intentional about it. But the second thing is like, man, I think the next 30, 60, 90 days, if I was an agent, I would figure out how can I double my database? How can I double my followers on social media and then interact with them and actually build relationships? Like, hey, thanks for liking my post. How are you doing? Right? All those kinds of things.
Now, the real inside baseball question is, do you think, or I'm pretty sure you probably think everything is teachable to a certain degree, as do I.
I mean, some people are just dumb.
Yeah. There are no stupid questions, just stupid people.
Yeah. Yeah. No, there you go.
The idea of learning to not be transactional.
Yeah.
Is like the thing that I have the biggest hurdle with, like bringing in new shooters or new videographers or photographers or whatever. There's a lot of it's like, well, no, that job doesn't pay because that is a relationship building, networking, foundational gimmick that we do. And a lot of it is just like, then ... we do that because I like that person.
Yeah.
But when they're 23, they're like, what does that pay? It doesn't pay anything. We're going there to like this is how you build a business.
And you got to teach them the concept of seasons, right? Like you have planting seasons, then you have harvest seasons, and like you got to be able to do both, right?
Yeah. Well, and like thankfully, shout out to Cruz again, where he came in and he just bought my bullshit from day one, just in all honesty, and I was either a good enough salesman or he didn't have anything else going on.
Right.
But like yesterday, and I watched like him post on social media from home plate inside of the Lexus Club.
Pretty cool.
At Globe Life. And it's like the fact he's like totally blown away that like this is what we're doing today, whatever. And the fact that where it was like, oh, okay, those times you came out for nothing, kind of like, like still, and he got a free lunch out of it yesterday, But the idea of, if he wouldn't have been open to that idea, how do you even get somebody to realize that, like, no, that's actually the way to do it, you know? And you hear the things like the hustle porn guys will say, like, oh, find who you want to be and then go work for them for free.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, well, how do we feed the bulldog while we're doing that? Or how do you get somebody that has been, like for you, it'd be like, okay, I've been incredibly successful in a transactional world.
Right.
Now what?
Well, I think you have to give them examples and then help them see, help them have a vision for that. I think is what's important. Like, hey, here's what we can do, or here's what other people's done. So I'll help them see that. And I think sometimes you do need to figure out, like, okay, what can you do today to make some money, and then have a certain amount that you can give away, because you can't give it all away. But like, what can I do to get there, and then set up some parameters and things around that. So just make educated decisions. Yeah,
there you go.
Yeah, but I tell you what, half the battle, like you said, is just getting in the room. Just show up.
Well, and it was like what you said earlier before we went live, where it's like what was the best inviter?
Yeah, the best inviter wins. Absolutely.
I love it.
Absolutely.
I love it. Let's see here. Like the personal well-being stuff doesn't really interest me because I'm terrible at that. What is one piece of advice you would give someone feeling overwhelmed by the pace of everything in today's world?
Yeah, I think, I really hate the word overwhelmed, because when you say I'm overwhelmed, if you actually look up the textbook definition of that word is, I've already been overrun. Like I've already lost. When I say I'm overwhelmed, it's basically saying I've already lost. Right, so we say overwhelmed.
The front line fragmented and
yeah. We say it like, oh, I'm stuck here, but what you're really saying is like, I've already lost this battle. So here's what I say: feeling that is 100% normal, and it doesn't have to be your reality. So when I feel overwhelmed, anxiety. Let me say it this way: clarity is the greatest medicine for anxiety. Right. So when you're feeling anxious and overwhelmed, almost always it's either I'm over living in the future, like I'm living too far down the road, and I'm not in the present, or I'm just wildly unclear.
Yes. So too many options.
Too many options. So the best thing you can do when you're feeling overwhelmed is stop, drop, and decide how you're going to roll. So stop, drop, right? Just like we were with kids, right? When you find yourself on fire, stop running, right? Stop adding oxygen. Stop throwing fuel on it, right? So stop, drop, and roll. So stop is like, okay, like my heart pressure's going up. I've got 100 things to do, but I'm not doing anything. Like you have those, like the lights on the dash are kind of flashing. That's the moment you need to stop. And stop is, I need to pause, stop making it worse. And then the drop is, I'm actually going to write down. I'm going to drop and I'm going to write down. Here's the things that I need to get done, and then I'm going to prioritize those, or make some decision on those, and decide how I'm going to roll. So because processing in our brain is not that great. You got to sit down and go, and I do a could, should, and must, right? So here's the things that I should do, which is like an encyclopedia list, right? You know what I mean? And, right, all the things. And then there's there's like the could, and then the should, which is like everything, and then the must. And what I work to force myself to do is only add 3 or 4 things to the must column. Right, because there's a lot of coulds, a ton of shoulds, and then what are the 2 or 3 musts? And if I can get that clarity, then that brings everything. So stop, drop, decide how I'm going to roll. And the reality is like freaking out never added any more hours.
Right.
You know what I mean?
And I think that there is like some sort of miscommunicated thing just culturally, we're like, oh, if you worry about something, that counts as like doing something. And no, actually, it doesn't.
No, it doesn't. And here's the thing: it doesn't have to be a brutal experience. There's a great book called "It Doesn't Have to Be Crazy at Work," and part of what that book said was like, it doesn't have to be the Wild West all the time. Here's my priorities. I got 4 hours to work, right? I got these things to do, and I'm not going to create any more hours by over worrying about it. So what's the most important thing to do in those hours? And then, so making decisions and clarity is the greatest thing you can give yourself in that moment.
And then my big revelatory thing here lately has been the delegating.
Ooh, yes.
And having the VAs.
Yep.
And then having to be like, new sheriff in town.
Yeah.
It's like, there's like a little chain of command. And there's like all of these things that are, I'm like, wow. Of course, the knee jerk is, why didn't I do this sooner?
Yeah.
You know? But having something happened the other day. And Chris said to me, he goes, oh, this is the first day in 3.5 years that I haven't worried about missing something on the can. I'm like, isn't that cool? Isn't that?
Wow.
Yeah. And I was like, yeah, wish we could have gotten there sooner, but we didn't. But here we are.
There you go.
Know? And that's the new business model. And then being able to stack on top of that, because it used to be the Wild West every day.
Absolutely.
And
now you're moving into predictable success, which is because you're going through that whitewater phase to get to predictable. The calendar's got to be dialed in. Everybody's got to do this, right? And it's not meant to be punitive. It's just like, hey, if we're not this, we got to have some systems and processes to all be on the same page, or the wheels fall off.
And I spent all of last Sunday making videos to explain back end processes to the virtual assistants. And like, I don't know, probably like the first 3 or 4, I'm like, oh my God, this is just a beatdown. And then whenever the next day rolled around and she was all over it, and I'm like, oh, well, that bore fruit quickly.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Yes.
And again, I have all of these high-end, high-quality, high performers in my life, and it's like, here's the right thing to do, and don't do it.
There you go.
Yeah.
There you go. All right. What are the 3 videos you would have agents make in the next 30 days?
So if you have something that you are able, like, so the thing with you said 30 under 30, but we're also doing the MetroTex 40 under 40, and then the Real Producers 500, which that means there are 2,000 agents out there in Dallas, Fort Worth that qualify to be a Real Producers, agent, top agent, or just a real producer. Yeah. Man, anything like that is essentially a humble brag.
Yes.
But also, it's your bona fides. It literally it establishes like, oh, I sell houses.
Right.
And then the other thing I have everybody doing is just anything that has to do with you personally. And I don't mean like a confessional or whatever. I mean more like, so Andrea Miller, shout out to Andrea Miller. I just am like ratcheting up all of her stuff because like we have so much content. But we literally were in Wentworth Estates, which is just West Plano, like right around the corner. And we're in the subdivision. And I'm like, well, let's just do something here. I'm like, God almighty, we're always here. And she goes, oh, yeah, I've sold 47 houses in this subdivision. And I'm like, well.
Tell that story.
Yeah, I'm like, well, there's the topic.
Yeah.
And
you know who probably knows that? One person.
Exactly. Yeah. Or 47 people that have no idea that the others exist.
Yes.
Yeah. And so it was like, well, there's the content. And she's, then once we got rolling, it was like, oh, well, they moved over here, 27 years ago. All the kids went to this school, blah, blah, blah. Next thing you know, I got like 47 seconds of just solid gold that now is going to be the leader because, and it's like, I know something is better than nothing most of the time, but it's just so generic. Moving to Dallas, Fort Worth, like most people's content is just like this nebulous thing that is, and it was exactly what you're saying. Like, can you dial it in? Can we get specific? Yeah. Can we get a little bit more of you in the thing? And that was it, where it was so like, whatever that flavor is for you is what you lean into.
100%.
First off, it's going to be the easiest thing for you to remember because it's who you actually are.
Yeah.
And most people are afraid to accentuate any of that stuff. And it's like, well, that's actually going to make you different because you are special,
And like you said, like record the origin story. Like, here's how I got into real estate. Here's why I do this every day. Like do that part.
Yes,
share the view and the why and what drives you. Like, share that part.
Whenever we post it, it literally is going to be her up on I got her up on the playground gimmick with the
slides and swing.
Yeah, she went down the slide. She put her head in the alien head hole thing and all that. But it was the park where she brought her kids to every day. Now they're in college, so it's like, I think that's going to actually like resonate with people. And so
cool.
having that done. And then the other would be just anything that establishes you as expert, either on the buy side or the sell side, whether it is, and, leaning into like whatever you're afraid of. So I have a lot of folks that are worried about the buy side, and it's like, well, just say that, you know, and say that you're here to help them. And if you're going to be because I saw one guy that leaned into the flat fee thing and literally just started his own, dude, and it blew up. I'm like, okay, well, you're going to get a lot of flat fee business, but hey, you know, if that is what resonates and that's what you're ready to do, knock yourself out. Yeah. Be ready for the slings and arrows, but hey, cash them checks.
All right. So last question for you. Who is your ideal client right now that you would love to see 5 or 10 more of in your world?
The ideal client would be, the ones like I said, the Andrea Millers, the Mary Reeves, the ones that are, so I have probably our top 5 clients, like Travis Book, who I was with yesterday, where they just get it.
Yeah.
They already had their business model lined up and sort of hammered out as far as, and then all I do is come in and it's like, oh, you've got this kick-ass list of groceries that you bought.
Right.
Well, let me just duck into the kitchen here and whip up something. And it's the perfect combination of all the spice, the herbs and spices, and then they actually are able to see the big picture.
Yeah.
And so, for example, Andrea, as I'm now so we're starting to do social media management and some other stuff, especially and primarily at the beginning for the ones that either, so like Michelle.
They just need help. Stop trying to do it all on your own.
Yeah. Well, and that's the other thing too. It's like, I'm sure you probably get this all the time in your coaching universe where it's like, if you have a level of production, the more hats you add, now everything gets diminishing returns because you cannot be good at everything. Just like what I was saying earlier about delegating. It's like, yes, theoretically I could follow up on everything on the calendar, but like, oh my God. And then just developing the ability to be like, that'll take care of itself as soon as everybody learns. And then, okay, yes, it's incumbent and it's on me to get everybody to learn. But once that's done, it's done.
Well, the cool thing about like you with the social media part is like they get to stay the pilot, and you're in the back making sure everybody's got their seatbelts on, right? You know what I mean? It's like, hey, here's what I need from you. You shoot your couple things, whatever it is, and then it's like you can stay in the cockpit. We got this taken care of. Because you're trusted, because you do such a good job with it, it allows them, like you said, to have the peace to go do the things that they're supposed to be doing. They're like, man, I really suck at this. Like, yeah, and don't get good at it, by the way. Like, there's other people that are great at this. You focus on your thing where you're going to get massive returns, and let me do my thing.
Well, and even to the level of where somebody is good at two things. Like, so for example, and I'll use Andrea as the example. She's fantastic at staging. Literally has the branded furniture wagon thing with like logos and all that. And then I'm like, dude, why don't you pay somebody to do that?
Will she tell me how to decorate my house? I need someone.
For a small fee.
I need someone to come over and tell me how to decorate my house.
Mine, I am so minimalist. It's like there's furniture.
Yeah. I'm minimalist, not partially on purpose and partially because I don't really know what to do.
Well, that, and I really don't care.
Yeah.
If I'm to be really honest, it's like, yes, of course, if I just had like unlimited amounts of money or whatever, I'd live in some sort of artsy-fartsy, ridiculous cartoon house or whatever. But I don't, so I don't. And then again, it really doesn't really register. But so what do you got? What's up next?
Before I forget, I need to introduce you to Scott and Bill. There are some amazing clients of mine that just moved up here from Austin. They do high-end luxury stuff, and we need to do some videos with them. So anyway, remind me to connect with those guys.
Yes, sir.
Dude, we're doing great right now. The big thing I'm working on is helping team leaders lead their teams really well. So what's the scripts you need to teach them? How do you keep them motivated? How do you get them back in the office? How do you get them to doing things they need to do? So like that, like if you're leading and you're like, I'm working really hard, but like I don't know what, like I'm struggling, right? Like I know my people could be doing better than they are. Like that, those are people that I'm having a blast working with right now.
Right on.
I had one guy yesterday who called me and goes like, I can't believe, the things I laid out for me. He goes, I did do it for 1 week. He goes, I can only imagine what it would have been like for my team had I been doing this for the past 3 to 5 years. So those kinds of conversations are huge.
Hell yeah.
Let's get it.
All right. Take us out, Peter. Thanks, everybody.
Thanks, everybody.